Hey, soldiers, Germany, the originator of the bratwurst, is actually going to ban the consumption of meat. Yes, you want to throw a steak up on the barbecue? Well, Germany is saying not so fast. It's probably going to get to the point, I'm being completely serious here, guys, where meat is going to be sold in back alleys or in speakeasies, kind of like during the 1920s here in America during the alcohol prohibition. Now, you would think, I thought that governments in the West, especially, had already backed off of trying to legislate what you put in your mouth. But I think that was actually a different issue that they're wild about. But now we've got more of the Western democracies, so called, becoming rather authoritarian. Now they're doing it, of course, under the guise of climate change. If climate change were really a problem, the last Davos meeting would have been held via Zoom, not with all of these Learjets coming to the actual site. All right, so this is just another control mechanism until I see Air Force One outfitted with a windmill and solar panels. I will not believe anything different. Go ahead. You need to hit that subscribe button and become a soldier of finance, because this economy, this world is changing so rapidly. And we are talking about things from all around this globe that prove that the powers that be want you broke, busted, and disgusted. But we talk about ways around that. So hit subscribe, hit the bell notification so that when we drop a video, because they're all important, you will be among the first to know. Now, because we are not the most popular over at the C-suite at YouTube, I need you to hit the thumbs up. I really need that. Otherwise, these videos just won't be seen. Okay. I could produce, if I had as many videos as I have on this channel, but they were about entertainment or some celebrity or something like that, believe me, we'd be probably 500,000 views right now. 500,000 subscribers rather. But I need you to hit that thumbs up to promote these videos. I thank you. Last but not least, if you really want to get down into the weeds of what's going on and figure out how to develop your battle plan, stay on the road to financial independence, hit the join button, watch that video, see what we've got for you. Now, let's talk about Germany. No strangers to, trying to come up with different ideas on how to be authoritarian. Let's see what the latest idea is. Under the guise of climate change, of course. In a segment dubbed The Green Dietary Transformation, Ban Shock for the Barbecue Season, critical German journalist Julian Reichelt, he's been compared to Germany's Tucker Carlson, presents the craziest yet planned green ban. A complete elimination of meat from the human diet in Germany and worldwide. Got to start somewhere. These history has shown us that authoritarian movements kind of start out in Germany. Isn't that weird? At least they have on two auspicious occasions in world history back in the 20th century. Germany's Federal Minister of Agriculture, Sim Özdemir of the Green Party, is now moving to force Germans to radically stop meat consumption by limiting meat intake to just 10 grams daily. If you're in America, you're like, a gram? What the heck is a gram? 2 hamburgers a month, okay, is basically the equivalent. Let's measure it in hamburgers. 2 hamburgers a month. Now remember, this individual, Özdemir, is the German Federal Minister of Agriculture. Okay, so he's in the German government. The German government's latest proposal stems from the recommendations made by, and I'm going to butcher this, so any Germans out there, let me apologize in advance and implore you to phonetically spell this in the comment section. The recommendation is the latest effort by the German government's latest proposal stems from recommendations made by, I'm not even going to attempt it, guys, but the organization is the German Advisory Council on the Environment, which is set up to directly advise the German government on policy. The recommendation is the latest effort by Germany's socialist green government to regulate every aspect of human life and to ban everything that contributes to modern human prosperity, health, and enjoyment. I'll add that. Now, how do you think they'd be able to really push this? I'm going over to the butcher and you're not going to stop me from buying my New York strip. Oh yeah, they could if a CBDC is in effect. And we have showed you that even here in the United States, the goal of the CBDC is programmability. So you could easily program it so that you cannot purchase certain things. Well, how are they going to know it's a steak, Tyrone? Easy. Every item that you purchase has a code attached to it. You see the UPC code? It's right on the product. All right. So that would just be a matter of, putting that information in. And once it sees, Tyrone's trying to buy more than 2 hamburgers this month. No. Okay. Rejected. If Tyrone was German. But again, this is something that the powers that be don't just want for Germany. All right. Radical behavior alterations deemed a must. Radical for us. All right. Certain socioeconomic class. John Kerry is not going to put away his private jet. It's not going to do that. All right. So it's just radical for us. These so-called elites will continue to live the high life. All right. They'll continue to eat whatever the hell they want. You will eat lab-grown chicken and bugs. They will eat the porterhouse made from a real grass-fed cow. All right. According to the SRU Government Advisory Council, quote, the manifold environmental crisis of our time, unquote, can only be overcome by radically altering human behavior. All of these non-governmental organizations, governments, and corporations are straight up about what they want to do. They want to control you. All right. So here we go again. They want to alter human behavior, which means, and this is a quote, the way we live, consume, move, and feed ourselves, unquote. Now, about feeding yourself. Now, you could be a vegan, you could be a vegetarian, pescatarian, full-blown carnivore, whatever you like. But as a human being, we were given the ability to enjoy taste, texture, aroma, presentation, color. Food is not just something that we're putting in our bodies just to power it, like you fill up at the gas station. It's a quality of life issue. But we're not seen as beings who should be having an enjoyment along those lines, quality of life, by the elites, okay? The way they look at us down here in the proletariat is in such a way that you might look at your parakeet and you'll say, oh, this is parakeet food. I don't know how it tastes, but he seems to like it. Go ahead, eat it. We can't allow you to die. You've got to eat this parakeet. And so the parakeet, with presented with no other options, he eats it. So that is how we are looked at. Make no mistake about it. And that is increasing. Right here in our area, Baltimore City, we have a mayor who's done nothing of consequence in his entire life. All right. All he's ever been is somebody connected with city government. That's all he's ever done. And the way he speaks to the media and the people is as if he is king of the universe, very condescending. So even at that little teeny infinitesimally important level that he's at, okay, it's Baltimore City, dude. No one gives a crap. But even at that level, you see this haughty kind of attitude, even among the least of the elected officials, okay? There's this perception of a separation between you and them. We're long beyond them understanding that they're public servants, all right? So that's what you got. Understand, this is how they look at us, all right? Makes it easier to understand why they're moving in this direction. It makes it also easy to understand why we got to resist. In his YouTube video, Mr. Reichelt presents some excerpts of the SRU recommendations to the German government. Number one, the government is gearing up to make meat so expensive that few people will be able to afford it. Okay? Number two, children are to be instilled with new values and pitted against their parents. Wow, Germany! Germany! Y'all didn't learn anything about this track being not the one you want to follow? Remember that youth group you kind of founded? You founded it back during the 30s and 40s. Well, it was the 40s. Okay? You had a youth group. Look into it. That was back in Germany. You really want to go down that road again? Wow. Number three, the government will make meat disappear from view everywhere. Star Trek. I'm a big Star Trek fan. And in the even now, I believe, I don't watch a lot of the new Star Trek. It's garbage. But in the older Star Trek, up to the Next Generation, and Deep Space Nine, and stuff like that, Voyager less so. They did eat meat sometimes. But in a lot of those shows, they had just vegetables on the plate. You know, it's like everybody in the future is a vegetarian. Okay, all of them. And I guess they got their protein from the what do they call it, machine? The replicator, you know, it infused it, you know, with protein. But again, we're not just eating to live, okay? Or rather, eating is part of the enjoyment of living, okay? It's not just a task that we do to power the body, all right? God knew that these humans will not do anything they need to do in terms of perpetuating that species unless it's enjoyable. So I got to make food enjoyable to them. Otherwise, they won't eat. All right. So we got the government playing God now. There's a 220-page government SRU report that lists everything in black and white. This is not conspiracy theory. It's in the blueprint for the future of humanity, authored by a small group of elitist Germans who believe they know what's best for the entire world. Where have we heard that before? According to Reichelt, what's coming at us from the Federal Ministry of Agriculture is nothing less than the largest, most radical, and comprehensive upbringing measure in the history of the Federal Republic of Germany. Quote, the language in this document sounds like it comes directly out of the utopia of a vegan surveillance state. The SRU recommends increasing the tax on meat to a level that would make it unaffordable for the lower income working classes, for whom a barbecue is one of the few remaining pleasures left to enjoy after a hard day's work. And you can't even crack open a Bud Light anymore. You've got to go to another beer because wokeism has taken that away from us, right? What about the Oktoberfest? That's a big thing in Germany. I guess we're going to have, you know, beefsteak tomatoes at the Oktoberfest instead of bratwurst. The SRU expert advisors to the German government also recommend eliminating meat from school cafeterias and instilling, quote, new values and norms, unquote, in children with the aim of further psychologically pressuring and shaming families away from meat consumption. Of course, the government is advised to implement these radical nutritional measures as stealthily as possible. In the SRU document, it says if it is communicated in the future that cafeterias are required to follow the quality standards of the German Association of Nutrition, and it not be mentioned that it's about reduced amount of meat being offered, then there would possibly be less attack from the media. Meat should be difficult to access. In the event citizens insist on meat, how dare they? But if they insist, then it should be made so that it is hidden away and made difficult to find, advises the SRU. Quote, like X-rated movies at video stores hidden from sight in another room, unquote, comments Reichelt. Whoever reaches for it should be ashamed. That's what they're building. And no, is not going to, you're never going to be able to shame me. Don't buy the steak. Please don't. I'll buy yours. You're never going to be able to shame me away from the consumption of meat. But we have seen that societal influence, if you put enough pressure on the youth, because that prefrontal cortex of theirs is not fully developed until the age of 25, they are liable to glom onto this hook, line, and sinker. They also want to take it off restaurant menus. At restaurants and other public eateries, meat would not appear at all on the menu and would only be offered on a separate menu that would be handed to a patron only upon request. This is a German government, okay? This is the recommendations that they're entertaining. That's a recommendation made by the government's very own SRU Advisory Board. The SRU Advisory Council even gone so far as to recommend overhauling supermarket shopping carts in a way that would promote the purchase of vegetables and plant-based foods and discourage meat buying. It's all written in the SRU report. It's no conspiracy. So how the hell are they going to do that? Will they have some voice on the shopping cart that, like, if you put a pack of hot dogs in the damn thing, it'll scan it, and then it'll, have some sort of broadcast speaker as you go and do the rest of your shopping? It'll say things to shame you. Look at these filthy people buying hot dogs, meat consumers. Shame them. Look at them. Will it do something like that? Anything is possible these days. What about the government officials themselves? Would they follow their own rules? Of course not. We know that. It turns out that Agriculture Minister Özdemir is a hearty meat eater himself. His wife was recently videoed preparing a 2-kilogram steak. Good Lord, that's a big steak. That record has since been removed from most of the internet, but we got a picture of it right here. And I dare you, Özdemir, say it's not your wife. I dare you. At last year's Oktoberfest in Munich, Green Party leaders were recorded enjoying a huge plate of meat sausage while guzzling beer from their mugs. Now, they were probably drinking Bud Light. The elitists have no intention of following their own rules. Of course not. They don't have any intention of doing that because, look, if they did, they would lead by example on the climate issue, right? They would, again, put the jets down, okay? All these fleets of cars that they ride around in because, they've got to be protected with guns. That's the other thing, guns, okay? They have no shortage of guns protecting them, but us, we're not supposed to have them. So we've already seen demonstrated exactly how they're going to act. We know it. They're just going to continue to look at us as a subspecies that has to do what they say. Now, just as more proof of that, here's Augustine Carstens. Mr. Carstens is the head of the Bank for International Settlements, the central bank of central banks. And I'll just say I don't think he's a vegetarian. Okay? Hey, look, it is what it is. All right? I don't think the man's a vegetarian. So when the World Economic Forum came out and said, you will own nothing and be happy, we had no idea it would apply even to the sausage, steak, beef, veal in our freezers. But that's what they mean. And if you think, hey, I'm in America, that can't happen. Well, once they get rid of that Second Amendment, anything's possible. Now, if you want another example of how the powers that be really mean for you to own nothing, are you ready for the 90-year mortgage? That's right. Think you're ever going to own that home? Check out this video where we talk about the 90-year mortgage. Guys, I'll talk to you soon.